Back again, Super Slash 75 movie reviews with a twist. Alright, so I wrapped up season 2 of Luke Cage last night, so I'm gonna just really be brief with it. I'm not gonna be long winded. The first 7 episodes, I was sleepy, tired, forcing myself to stay awake to pay attention to all the little twists and turns. I was not interested at all in the first half of the second season. Episodes 8 through 13 definitely really picked up pace. So basically, continuation from last season. Luke Cage is a celebrity now. Blah, blah, blah. Bushmaster comes in. Bushmaster, now he's an interesting character. At first, I didn't care for him, but towards the end, I felt sorry for him and I wanted to see him win. Okay, Bushmaster basically is avenging old debts from his parents. His family his family had dealings with the Stokes. Mariah and Cornell, their parents, and I guess the business deal went bad, and subsequently, Bushmaster's relative died in a house fire set by the Stokes, and then he was shot in the stomach as a teen by one of the a Stokes family member. So then a friend takes him to a priestess to heal him from the gunshot wound. This is how he gets introduced to Nightshade. The Nightshade is the flower that grows in Jamaica that gives him his abilities to go toe-to-toe and actually pretty much decimate Luke Cage in one-on-one hand-to-hand combats. I think really out of 4 fights, he got the best of him out of 3 times. My opinion, but so that's how we get Bushmaster's backstory. So then moving on, Mariah and Shades, they're running to Harlem, and they want to maintain control, keeping the other gangs at bay, the Italians, the Koreans, I believe. Okay, so Bushmaster's on the scene. He's taking over bits and pieces of the boroughs. So there's this huge gang war between Bushmaster and Mariah. Luke Cage is in the middle. Luke Cage has to hire the one finance guy that wanted to hire him to promote the brand or whatever the case may be. So he ends up being a link between Bushmaster and Mariah because Mariah, against her better wishes, sold the gun running to Bushmaster against Shade's better judgment. So the one guy he was protecting, Bushmaster wanted him dead because he could link Mariah and Bushmaster to federal gun crimes, blah, blah, blah. Because these were weapons that Mariah had a contract with Justin Hammer. And if you understand who Justin Hammer is through the Iron Man series, competing with Stark Technologies for weapons and stuff like that, you know who Hammer is. Hammer also created the Judas Bullet. And I believe in one scene he did get shot again with the Judas Bullet, but for some odd reason he recovered. They never really explained it. Okay, so they're going with the turf war between Bushmaster and Mariah, and it gets very, very bloody and vicious. I got to the point where basically Bushmaster, while recovering from the Nightshade, what the Nightshade does to Bushmaster basically is like heroin. The more you take it, the less the effects, the less and less it gets. So you just keep chasing that dragon basically. And Bushmaster's uncle, begs and pleads with Bushmaster to kind of let the war go, find peace in his heart. And Bushmaster says, "Me want war." Like I said, I grew to love the character towards the end of the series, and I really felt compelled and I felt sorry for him. And I really wanted to see him come out on top, which he technically did. At one point, he did overtake the club. I think it's Harlem's Paradise, and he was the top dog. It sent Mariah reeling into hiding. And at one point, Bushmaster was pretty much killing everybody, and everybody had a price on their head that was helping Mariah to the case. He set Mariah's brownstone on fire. Hopefully with her and her daughter Matilda in it, but Luke Cage came to rescue them. Another subplot you had to deal with was Matilda and her mother Mariah. Very, very contentious relationship there, which will come back and towards the end, and we'll revisit that. Okay, so at one point, basically, Mariah hires Luke to protect her, to get her to the precinct, because she was going to pretty much flip. She offered the cops immunity to flip against Bushmaster and the dealings with the guns and all that good stuff. So there's a lot of snitching in season 2. A lot of snitching. Mariah, Shades, and then Shades at one point killed his best friend, played by running back Thomas Jones, who used to play for the Bears and the Jets, I believe. And so I guess Comanche, Thomas Jones' character, was the lieutenant, Misty Knight's lieutenant, Wittenhauer, his CI. Shades got wind of it. Shades ended up setting up a murder. Well, so Comanche was meeting with Wittenhauer, and Shades knew about it. Shades shows up. Shades shoots Wittenhauer, and then he, convinces Comanche, yeah, you did the right thing. No cameras, blah 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 blah. I can clean this up. So he grabs Wittenhauer's gun, and he shoots Comanche, and then he's standing over Comanche's body while he's bleeding out, and tells him, I loved you, man. You're my friend, whatever the case may be. But you're a snitch or whatever, you're a rat. And he shoots him again in the stomach. Now the weird part was during a tiff between Mariah and Shades, Mariah implied that Shades had a relationship with Comanche, and Shades pretty much commenced to strangling Mariah on the table, but then he stops himself short before she passes out, which was kind of weird. So they never really followed up if Comanche and Shades had a relationship. Good job, Marvel. Okay. So Mariah's on the run. She has nothing. Bushmaster's on top. Luke Cage and Bushmaster have basically 4 fights. Towards the 3rd fight, they pretty much are like, hey, you know what? I don't want to kill you. I don't want to kill you either. Blah, blah, blah. So they kind of call it a minor truce, and they actually work together for a brief episode where they take out, I believe, was it Russians? I don't know. They work together for a hot minute. And it was cool. Okay, so then moving forward, getting towards the end of the episodes, one of Misty's cop buddies snitched to Bushmaster as to whereabouts where Luke was hiding Mariah, because Bushmaster at one point put $1 million bounty on Mariah's head and anybody's head also that's associated with them. So she snitched. They catch her. So then Shades decides to snitch on Mariah because now what ended up happening was once Shades had kidnapped Bushmaster's uncle and, had him at the club. Danny Rand makes an appearance, so he's kind of helping him out for a little bit. He teaches, Luke to center himself, find his chi, calmness, stillness, don't react out of anger, blah, blah, blah. So he's in it for maybe an episode. Once again, Danny Rand's fighting skills are ass, trash, basura. I don't know who his fight choreographer is, but he needs to call Keanu Reeves' stunt team and get some work, because his fight choreography is terrible. Terrible. Moving forward. So then, Bushmaster is pretty much getting in good with Matilda, even though he tried to kill her, as far as getting the Nightshade to keep him, potent, whatever the case may be, because the Nightshade has deteriorating effects on not only his body but his mind. And his uncle warned him, say, hey, you don't need it anymore, you're on top, you need to leave that stuff alone. He's like, I need it, whatever the case may be, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so getting back to Mariah and Shades kidnapping Bushmaster's uncle. Basically, they go to the Jamaican cafe where the uncle works, and they murder everybody associated with Bushmaster, his entire family. They set the uncle on fire. Oh my God, it was just tragic, brutal. Mariah ends up using that same .38 revolver that she loves so much, the pearl handle revolver. She shoots one female in the head. She's a snitch. And then she ends up shooting the uncle 2 times because he wouldn't die quick enough. He was making too much noise while on fire. Of course, he would make noise because you're on fire. So she shoots him. Shades agrees to give the cops the gun that Mariah used to murder everybody, or pretty much murder some of the Bushmaster's people in the cafe, and admit to the gun running. So Shades has an immunity deal. Mariah gets arrested and is in jail in Rikers. She has her own little issues with a former associate, and Mariah, being Mariah, ends up being a top dog still while in Rikers Island awaiting trial. Subsequently, okay, so Bushmaster decides to leave the U.S. and go back to Jamaica. Right before that, Matilda subsequently kind of heals him to the point where he can get back to Jamaica so he can get some more Nightshade. But basically, Bushmaster walks away. Too many losses, too many casualties. He achieved his goal. He was at one point the top dog in Harlem. He had the club. He was the man. So he sought his goal, avenged some family members' deaths, and it was just too great of a loss. So he went back to Jamaica. And by that point, I was like, damn, I felt bad for the character. I really wanted to see him continue on towards the end. The fight choreography between him and Luke, much better than Luke Copperhead first season. Much better. This guy he's pretty decent. He can hold his own. So like I said, towards the end, I really started to felt compelled for Bushmaster. Okay, so then Matilda goes to see Mariah one last time, much to Mariah's surprise, whatever. So she gives her mother a kiss on the lips. So getting back to that, it's going to come back around. So Matilda, pretty much swears off the Stokes name and wants to be she's a herbologist. She deals with herbs and medicine, so that comes into play. How she's the only one that can really kind of replicate the Nightshade to a certain extent. Let's see. So then Luke goes to see Mariah at Mariah's behest, and the attorney, Mariah's attorney, this guy flip-flops back and forth more than a fish on land. So while they're talking, Mariah spits up blood. She's been poisoned. She realizes she's been poisoned by her daughter. And then, because as Matilda's singing her little song on Cornell's keyboard, she wipes the lip off, the poison off her lips, and you see it makes a quick reference to the page which herb she used to poison her mother. Okay, so during the reading of the will, Mariah leaves Cornell the keyboard to Matilda, but she leaves the club to Luke Cage, and her last dying words were, "We're not done yet." So in a montage flashback scene, the attorney asks her, why are you leaving him the club? So as Luke is mulling over the offer of the club, and he does it, initially he rejects the offer, then he accepts the offer. So while he's all dressed to the nines, overseeing everything at the top of the balcony, feeling like he can make a change in Harlem, he taking the sheriff role a little bit too serious. It reminds me of the scene in Batman in The Dark Knight when Alfred tells Bruce Wayne, sometimes you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So Luke Cage is going down this rabbit hole that he's not aware of. He's being set up by a woman even though she's dead, by taking the club on. He thinks he can change Harlem through the club because it being a central hub, when in fact her plan is to have the club change him. And he fell out with his little homie at the barbershop. The barbershop dude was like, hey man, if you take this route, man, I can't have you here. I'm gonna take the lease over and you're not welcome anymore. So that dynamic, so you can see the tonal shift of Luke Cage starting to go towards the dark side a little bit, unbeknownst to him. Okay, so then he gets a club, he's running the club. Misty's hard ass. She becomes a detective first grade. The one female black woman comes back to be deputy commissioner to take Whitney Howard's place, whatever the case may be. So Misty's like, hey, if you run afoul of the law, I'm gonna be here to take you down, blah blah blah. And he playfully gests, yeah, I hope so. Old girl Rosario Dawson, she left town first half of the episode. She left town. I don't even remember why she left town. I think she was scared for her life. I don't know. Second half of this really picked up. The last 5 episodes really picked up. I wish it would have kept this all the way through, but like I said, I woke up basically starting episode 8 with this. So we're going to see him go down this path season 3 clearly. He's going to lose his way. He ended up setting up a meeting with the Italian mob boss that's connected to the Russians. He was like, look, leave Lenox or Harlem from Lenox down to 51st Street alone. Basically, he just created a safe zone for Harlem. And she kind of throws herself at him, like she's like, you guys have you ever drank at this particular cafe? He's like, no. He said, I don't like espresso. And she says, well, it's never been prepared for you properly. So she's kind of like, trying to throw herself at him. So he set up a safe zone for Harlem as far as all the drug families are concerned. So he thinks in his mind, he's the only one that could do it, because he kept saying, I can do this, I did this, I can do this. So this I starting to kind of, fill his head a little bit, like he's the only one that could really do this. And part of the reason why Mariah left him the club, because she knows that Luke loved Harlem as much as Mariah. And even though Mariah did love Harlem, she did a lot of wicked things to kind of keep Harlem afloat and keep Harlem alive. So a lot of blood to keep the place, to keep the city alive and thriving. So that's my quick review of Luke Cage season 2. Like I said, episodes 8 through 13 picked up. I liked it. Oh, then Shades. Since Mariah's died, Shades' deal goes to pot because it all is contingent on a successful conviction or prosecution. Since she's dead, he goes down for the murder at the cafe with Bushmaster's family and the drugs. So he's washed. I think that's it. Anything else I didn't forget or I didn't mention? It's pretty not, maybe not worth mentioning. But like I said, this episodes 8 through 13 definitely picked up. Definitely ended on a good note, and I was pleased with it. All right, well, that's Super Slot 75 movie reviews with a twist. You guys have a good one. Peace.